Hey everybody, I'm going to talk to you guys today about the brush palette. And the way that I use the brush palette is I modify my brush as I am painting to meet the needs or the demands, or what, I don't know, to kind of, if I need to do something on my painting and I need the brush to either have some texture or a pointy tip or to have a certain level of opacity, I will change that characteristic on the brush as I paint because I found it really hard to save a bunch of different brushes. Each brush has a different characteristic, and then try and remember which brush I want to use at a given time while I paint. Because if you have 30 brushes, it's like, oh, which one was the pointy brush? I can't remember. So it's just easier um, to change your brush characteristics as you paint, depending on what you need to do at that time while you're painting. Okay, so the first part of the brush palette that we see is this area here. I think it's called the brush tip shape. Which is yeah. So um, a brush is comprised of a series of bitmaps. Really? Right? So what's a bitmap? Well, a bitmap is a little black and white picture that Photoshop can capture and use that as a brush. And the way that it does it is it takes that picture and it repeats it over and over again as you drag your brush across the canvas. So if you look at this thing here, you'll see all these little different pictures in here. And Photoshop can use every one of these pictures as a brush. Like this one here is like a maple leaf. And you can see my cursor changes to maple leaf. Ooh, I have my eraser tool, so I hit B for brush. That was my eraser. That was done. And wow, look, a bunch of maple leaves. Woohoo! So basically, Photoshop is taking this little maple leaf bitmap and it's repeating it over and over again as I drag my stylus on across my tablet as I drag the brush across the canvas. And isn't that cool? Maple leaf. So, so you can make anything into a brush. I won't go into that with this little video, but you can take any bitmap you want to make a brush out of it. So, yeah, I want the background color. Thank you for asking. No, I said I wanted the background color, so I'm deleting this. Oh, blending mode, color, normal. Okay. Why did they change that? You should just delete it. Now it turns it into the fill palette. I hate that. Okay, so I'm going to select this brush here, which is this funny little, I don't know, grungy looking brush. And so let's look at this for a second. The size slider changes the pixel size of the little bitmap image. Oh, that's really big. And this is the roundness actuator. I don't know if it's called an actuator, but it's the round. How about let's call it a doohickey? It's the roundness doohickey. And you might go, well, why would I want to squish my brush? Well, sometimes it's really convenient to squish your brush, especially if you have to. Let's say you're. Now let's do this. So let's say I have a part of my painting that is really pointy, and I want to color in with red. And well, that round brush just doesn't quite match very good. That it just doesn't match that shape really well. So, but if I squish my brush, if I squish the roundness of my brush, now my brush is really skinny. I go in there, and I can. Sorry, I sound like a dork. I can go in there, and I can paint in that little corner real easily. So squishing your brush is really cool. I use it all the time. And also when you're drawing, it adds some nice thicks and thins too. So you don't have like the dreaded computer generated art look where your brush stroke has the same weight, the same thickness all the way down the line. So if you squish your brush, you can angle it too. You can spin it around by grabbing that little arrow. So it adds some nice thicks and thins as you draw. So I would highly recommend using that angle, the angle and the roundness thing. Hardness gives you a really soft brush. So it's like soft. And then you can slide this up to different percentages of hardness. So 0 is the softest and hardness is very hard, or just get a hard edge. And this is important because, you know, sometimes you'll be painting and you'll want a very soft, you know, brush stroke. Like you're painting clouds. I'm painting clouds. I'm painting here. Let's delete this. Delete, which is my fill tool, which is so stupid. So if I want to paint soft, oh, we got to make this soft. We'll make that soft. We're going to paint soft red clouds. I'm going to turn my texture off. Soft red clouds. So you might want a soft edge to paint these lovely red ketchup clouds or whatever, blood clouds. And sometimes you want a hard edge to paint hard things with, like toasters and nails, because nails are hard. So that's important. Spacing spreads out the little bitmap. So like I said, you know, as you're dragging your stylus across your tablet, all Photoshop is doing is dragging this little bitmap along the canvas as you drag your stylus across the tablet. And so spacing just tells Photoshop how frequently or how densely it's going to draw that little bitmap as you make a stroke across your canvas. So if it's drag it down to 1, they're like those little circles or whatever the bitmap is are laid right on top of each other, and as you drag it out to a high percentage, they're spread out further apart. And this is really cool for making dotted lines, as you can see. Or you can add a little scattering to it. I'll go on this in a second. And let's crank up the count a little bit. And then you can make confetti or stars or leaves or whatever. So let's make some leaves. Let's say we're painting a fall scene and we want some leaves. So we'll space it out. We're going to space it out. And we're going to drop down the count. And we're going to, you can rotate and stuff. So oh, look, I've got leaves. They're all the same size. You get the point. So, yes. So, that is my brush tip. Size, angle, roundness, and spacing. Now we're going to go into, well, we're not going to go into scattering just yet. We did a little bit. That was a quick preview. Now we're going to go to shape dynamics. Shape dynamics. So, like, basically a lot of these little variables here: shape dynamics, scattering, texture, dual brush, color dynamics, transfer. You wanna click on the lettering. You want to click on the word. Oh, I forgot to tell you. This is the preview down here. If you couldn't guess, okay, if you haven't already figured that out, this is the preview of your brush down here. So I don't know what this is. What is that? Let's see. I don't know. Is that a new brush? I'm not sure what that is. Okay, so so this thing. Okay, so that's that. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn this off because I've already got 8 minutes into my spiel here. So we'll go into the rest of the palette in a second.